It is known that leaders shine in times of crisis. Now more than ever, we need a leader in our community, a leader that can revive revive the economy. Create new jobs and put the city back on track. Joining us tonight, Dearborn Public School Board of Education. Hussein Berry, he is with us to discuss his candidacy for Dearborn Mayor. It's good to have you, Hussein Berry.
Well, thank you for having me. First of all, I just want to say good evening to you and your audience. And also, I'd like to wish you and the audience a happy Women's History Month.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Hanan, I want to say something here. You don't have to be an elected official to serve in leadership. Ever since you did that interview with Susan Yassin, our former Consul General of Lebanon, I've been following you, and you're doing some amazing things. So I applaud you for putting a putting a spotlight on our women in our community. So
thank you.
Thank you for doing
so much. I appreciate your words tonight. And if you win this election, you'll be the first Muslim and the first Arab American to lead the city of Dearborn. I'd like, first of all, to welcome our viewers. And if you have questions for Hussein Berry, please put your comments in the comment box below. Hussein Berry, you have returned to Board of Education in 2016 after serving from 2010 to 2014, correct?
Correct, that is correct.
Okay, so according to niche.com, Dearborn ranks 166 out of 555 school districts in Michigan for 2021. So given your leadership position and this ranking, why should you be entrusted to be the next mayor?
Now, when you say rankings, what are you referring to? There's different rankings.
But for school districts, it's 166 out of 555.
Sure. So yes, and that's a good question. Thank you. For Dearborn, we do have a lot of challenges. We welcome everybody. We're the third largest district. We have a lot of ELL students that pose different challenges for our community. So we don't leave anybody behind. We work with all of our students, especially the ELL students. So there's no doubt in my mind, if you take the top 20%, that's why I was asking you which ranking you talk about. If you take the top 20%, they can compete with anybody, any high school, any district in the USA. Matter of fact, we have the early college program. It's in the top 1% in the state. So yes, the ranking, sometimes you have to be careful what you're looking at, because what they do, go ahead and the information that they use.
Okay. All right. So when it comes to our schools, the pandemic has brought many challenges, and we know reopening schools is very essential and crucial for our kids' mental and well-being, the social and mental well-being. So many teachers and parents are concerned about the instructional time that has decreased from 5 days to 3 days with their teachers. How is this beneficial? So they have 2 days on their own, and they have instructional time, like a virtual instructional time with their teachers, only 3 days. How is this beneficial?
So a little over a year ago, we got hit with a global pandemic called COVID. Okay. So as elected officials, nothing has ever tested us more than the COVID-19. And when the world started shutting down, a lot of our elected officials at the local and some even higher went and hid. And when you're representing students and teachers and parents, our district is over 20,000 students. You can't hide. You have to listen. And we listened. We listened to our parents, our teachers, our students before we made any decisions. Our meetings, my meetings went on. I served as the board president last year, and I welcomed it. I like to lead. Our meetings went on for hours, sometimes past midnight. One meeting we had on a Saturday for almost 8 hours. When every parent was heard, I knew I had to make a decision based on my principles. I heard from people that, keep the schools open. Not everybody's going to live. My principles are a little different. My principles are every human life matters. I know not everybody agreed with us closing the schools, but when you're a leader, you can't have it both ways. You can't listen to both sides and say both sides are right. I had to lead, and we as the Dearborn School Board made a good decision. I can honestly say a year later, not one single teacher, not one employee, not one student has died because of community spread from our schools. That's leadership through a storm. Now, to answer your question, just to make it very clear, we opened up schools. It's a hybrid program, okay? Yeah. The students are in person. If they choose, they're in person 2 days a week, and the other 3 days they're on their computer. Okay. So when we first closed down the schools, a lot of parents were angry with me, was angry with the Dearborn School Board. And by the way, I received some hate mail in the beginning. Oh. And now there's no doubt in my mind when those parents call you and tell you, Mr. Berry, you weren't wrong. There was one weekend when I sat there and talked to almost over 30 parents. I put it on there on Facebook. I said, if you have any questions for me, call me. Here's my phone number. And I gave them 10-minute meetings, and we had some discussions. Not everybody agreed with what we wanted to do. You made a very valid point. Yeah, with the schools closing, there's no doubt that our students lost some ground when it came to education.
Definitely.
You also made another good point, the mental health. When the schools were closed down for all that time, we started putting the money away, knowing that we're going to have to get our students caught up. And that's very important to me. But now we have to open up the schools. Some people aren't happy. On my job, when you're a leader, your job is not to make people happy. Your job is to make the right decision. Period.
Yes.
So, with the teenagers back in school right now, we're helping them through their social issues, mental health issues. You already asked a question, so I'll give you.
I'm gonna talk about like the opposite way now. With the COVID-19 cases are on the rise again, would you consider closing the school again?
We do have a mitigation plan. If we need to go there, we will. But as of right now, all the board members get a report every day, every half hour, every hour when something is going on. But I'm very, very confident right now that we're still in good shape. Okay. 2 weeks before we opened, we partnered up with DMC. I am so thankful for DMC and their very, very professional staff. We were able to vaccinate, at this point right now, 75% of our employees, our teachers, our custodians. So yeah, there is a plan if we need to go there, but at this time, we're all in agreement that we don't need to go there.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's good to hear. With the spring break coming up soon, it's around the corner, and people are going to go on vacation. How can we ensure the safety of our community and our schools? And will they make like the next 2 weeks after the spring break virtual?
You know what? That was considered.
Okay.
And of course, yes, I know I have a lot of friends that left town. But what we did is we were relying on the parents. When you come back, if you feel that there's some symptoms going on at home, please let us know. Let's deal with it and keep your students at home. They can stay online. And by the way, we also set up a testing at one of our high school. No charge. If you feel that you need to be tested before you send your students back to school, please do so. We also created, Hanan, early on, I call it the Dearborn Plan. We created a virtual learning program. Currently, there's over 6,000 students in that program.
Okay.
My daughter-in-law, last year, she said, I don't care what you and your friends do. She was referring to my colleagues. My kids are not going to go back into school. So she chose the VLP from day one. Okay. And they have not been in the schools since then. 6,000 students. School was created within 2 weeks.
Okay.
Teachers was moved around. Logistics was very, very difficult, but the crisis team handled it. When I say 6,000 students, that's that's bigger than maybe 40% of the districts in Michigan.
Yes. So what will next year's learning look like? Will we have maybe a separate virtual school?
You know what? My goal is to have graduation for our graduates this year. Last year's graduates got cheated. And the goal is to get back in school next fall.
Okay.
Hopefully, I think a lot of good things going on with vaccines. People are doing, our kids, I got to say this, our students in the schools are doing an amazing job with the masks. We thought we were going to have problems with the elementary students, but they're doing an amazing job. So with all that being said, I'm hoping and praying, and at the same time, we have to follow science and we have to follow the professionals, the health professionals, to be in school in the fall. That's what my goal is.
So you're hoping no more probably virtual by next year?
You know what? I think COVID has taught us one thing. We can't always say this is the way we've done it forever.
Okay.
No, I don't see virtual going away. Matter of fact, virtual programs, virtual school was always with us, but not too many people took advantage of it. I think maybe less than 12 families took advantage of it in our district, but I don't see that program going away. So some people, some students do well. Our two daughters at home, one loves, being on the computer, and the other one loves the social life. She wanted to get back into high school. So it's, the bottom line, it's a parent decision, and we're giving our parents options. That's because we did something very radical throughout COVID-19. We listened to them.
Good. Excellent. It's good to listen. Always good to listen.
Yes.
I'm going to move on to the economy. And, the effect of the pandemic is really on our local economy is huge. And the unemployment is still high. And, small businesses are still suffering regardless of the funds that are getting from the government. But still, the crisis still exists, correct?
Of course it does.
Yes. So what is your plan for, a faster economic relief?
You know what? The plan is pretty much keep doing what I've been doing. Talk to people, communicate with people. A couple of days ago, we visited a restaurant. The gentleman is hurting. He's probably thinking of closing down his doors. I had a nice long discussion with him. I gave him some ideas what I think he should do. Cut down on, even though with unemployment, maybe cut down on labor, take advantage of some of the things that are working for him. Most of my friends are in business in Dearborn, so these are phone calls that I make daily. Yes, I want to be the next mayor of Dearborn, but I'm not going to wait until then to, reach out to the businesses in Dearborn.
Yes. Some businesses are not going to see anymore. You know that.
There's a few restaurants, there's a few businesses, service businesses have closed their doors forever. Yes, that happened. That's affected them.
Okay.
So we need to reach out to them, work with them, find out what assistance from the federal government is available to them, and help them in that matter.
Okay, so in addition to the $1.9 trillion that was approved by the Congress, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, she reintroduced a legislation, and if it passed, it will provide $2,000 for every American. What is your intake on that?
You know what? Of course, we need to help. We need to help our families, what I call short-term plans. Mm-hmm. Yes, $2,000 is a lot of money. That will help.
A lot of money. Mm-hmm.
It is. For most families, for a lot of families, it is a lot of money. But those are short-term plans. We actually have to sit down and talk to our Congresswomen, our Congress leaders and our senators and find out what is a long-term solution for helping families. I know in Dearborn, I know the schools are doing some tremendous work. The city's starting to do some good work for the families in Dearborn. We do need some long-term plans.
Yeah, but don't you think there is a disadvantage to it? Because we hear some small businesses are complaining that they cannot find help because some people don't want to work anymore because they're getting money in their pockets. What do you think about that?
You know what? You're not wrong there. That is true. I mean, some of
I'm sure you heard it.
gas stations I visited said exactly what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also
And even restaurants.
I've just visited another restaurant in Dearborn, and I've seen all the same faces I've been seeing for 5 to 10 years. It depends on your plan. It depends on the business plan that you have. Some people decided that some businesses received a lot of help from the federal government, and they went in a different direction. They start remodeling instead of helping the employees and keep the employees working.
Okay, I'm going to move on to what's going on in the United States. And we have 7 massive shootings in 7 days. And the last one was in Boulder, Colorado, where a gunman killed 10 people. So for sure, we cannot control all the violent impulses, but we can probably try to make it much more difficult for people not to act on it. How can we stop gun violence in our communities and keep our schools safe?
Our schools are very, very safe. I mean, many years ago when I was on the board, we made it that guns are off limits no matter what. But gun violence is a national debate right now. People are split on it. Right down the middle. The fact that a person that's not mentally stable can walk in some states and purchase a gun on site, and we're seeing the outcome. What happens? That's pretty much That's a national discussion. So as a mayor, I don't know how much you can do about that, but I know I believe in our police department, and I feel pretty safe. I have 4 grandkids that don't live too far from me, and I feel that we are safe in the city of Dearborn and the surrounding area. That doesn't mean you never say never. Could it happen? Is this something like that can happen?
Yeah, but don't you think we need like a strong gun laws in the States? I mean, the coronavirus led to the highest ever spike in the U.S. gun sales.
Again, yes, I do agree that we have to have stricter gun laws. We need to have, policy changes at the national level, how to handle this. Okay. I don't see how maybe a local government. That's why I love my community. People ask, Sam, what are you doing? What are you doing to you? I love my community. I had a great childhood growing up in Dearborn. Dearborn's been very good to my family and I. I have a big family in Dearborn. Dearborn's been very good to us. That's why people were starting to ask me, maybe I should run for a state position or maybe others. I decided in 2016, you mentioned in the beginning that I returned back to the school board. That's where my heart is. That's where my passion is, serving my community, serving our youth, and serving our education.
Do you think if we increase funds to our police, police could keep us more safe? Maybe.
That's
increase the funds.
I don't know how much more you can increase the funds for police in Dearborn. Okay. Just a little bit of education here for the viewers. We're mandated by our charter, what we spend on police. We don't have, like people are saying, oh, we're going to cut back on police, or we're going to cut the budget, stuff like that. That has to be voted on by the voters. You have to vote to open up the charter, which will be on the ballot this year. And if the voters are okay with opening up the ballots, that needs to be discussed. So to increase the police budget makes it safer. I am very confident that our police do a good job in Dearborn.
So what are some ways to reduce implicit bias in policing?
Implicit, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the word.
Implicit bias.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, of course. We're all human. People act differently. When I see something on the news about police brutality, that takes me back to 1988. I was a victim of police brutality. I don't talk about that much, but since you brought that up, I'm going to a little bit. Yes, I was visiting a friend at Western Michigan. We were in Kalamazoo, and what happened was very, very traumatizing for me. I'm getting a little shook up thinking about it, but I could have easily paid a $100 ticket and went away, but I sued the city of Kalamazoo and the police department of Kalamazoo all the way to a jury trial, okay? And it was never about money. They kept on offering to settle. Back
And you didn't want to settle.
In 1988, I was still a young man, so what they wanted to settle was a lot of money. But I just wanted my day in court, and I wanted to face the police officer that did that. And through our discovery, we found out nothing's changed. Middle Eastern people, that's what he liked picking on. Asian people, that's what he liked picking on. African American people, that's what we found the discovery. And I'm not putting anything out there that's not public knowledge, but the main thing I was able to do is part of the settlement is make sure that police officer gets some diversity training.
Yes.
Now, with that in mind, wow, imagine that if police were getting some diversity training before on hand. See, I come from the school world, okay? We do a tremendous job with professional development with our teachers.
Yes.
Teachers are amazing. I love our teachers. We do a great job with professional development. I would push for something similar with the police department. There's a lot of good police officers in Dearborn. Every one of them? Absolutely not. There are some that probably can use diversity training and to make sure that they're not being biased or culturally biased against others.
Perfect. We are going to take a little break, and we'll be back with Hussein Berry.
Thank you.
Welcome back. I'm still here with Hussein Berry, who is running for Dearborn Mayor. And I would like to take some questions from the viewers. And so somebody's talking about, Brian Stone, he said, what's your plan to deal with littering in the city?
You know what? That's a very good point.
Yes.
I thank Brian for that.
That's one of my questions. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point, because everybody wants to talk about taxes. Everybody wants to talk about environment, which are very important things to talk about in the campaign.
Absolutely.
Why aren't we talking about where what's going on with the city? You drive around, you're seeing masks on the ground in parking lots. Who's holding corporate America responsible right now? The other day I saw a post. Walgreens parking lot was a mess. Okay. Whoever got to and cleaned it up, okay, God bless them. But why aren't we making those phone calls? Why isn't our departments going in and knocking on the door and say, who's the manager here? That needs to be discussed. Another thing that needs to be discussed at the local level on the same subject. Sorry, I know you got some questions to get to. Is neighborhood safety. People are driving up and down the streets here. Throughout the city, I see posts every day, people running stop signs, people speeding. What's going on? Where's our, how come, we're not setting up police traps or something to control that? That affects our daily life. That affects our quality of life.
So you have a plan for that?
What's that?
You have a plan for that?
Yeah, we're just getting started. Some people think that, you go on Facebook and the more likes you get, the campaign's over. Actually, Hanan, the campaign hasn't started. Because as of right now, people, we keep saying that there's 6 candidates. A few other people pulled their petitions. It can grow to 8 to 10 candidates by April 20th.
Yes,
so, we'll be rolling out our plans and our ideas slowly.
That's true. And I'm going to take Hakeem. I think she said Dearborn crime rate is rapidly increasing. How will you minimize that?
Again, we have to work with our police chief. The police chief is an appointed position. Crime depends how you report crime. Just like earlier in the program, we're talking about ranking schools. Some schools, some rankings you look, and you'll see Dearborn in the top 10 or top 5. It depends on the information. So you have to look at the reports. Where is crime high? It's definitely not in murders. Where is it high right now? Is it has something to do with drugs, pills? We have to get to that, and that will be the responsibility of the police chief. And by the way, that position is an appointed position.
Okay, and I like this question actually, Samia Al-Zubaydi. Every candidate is given the same headlines. Okay, when can we see the details of their plans and how to fix things?
And she is 100% correct. Yes. Everybody wants to talk about taxes right now. We're going to lower taxes.
Everybody's mind.
No, it's still too early right now. We will get to exactly. You know what? I'm gonna host some. I just opened up my campaign office actually this morning. I'm gonna host events in my campaign. Instead of me coming knocking on your door, come visit me. Have some coffee, have some tea. Maybe I'll get brave and maybe flip some burgers. Come talk to me. Come talk to me. If I'm going to be your mayor, I remember, God bless his soul, Mayor Guido would walk to people's houses, would walk into businesses and ask them, how you doing? Is there anything I can do to help? I remember that's the kind of leadership we had when I was growing up. So she's 100% right. You will see our plans. You will see everybody's plans.
And thank you for your question, Samuel.
Thank you, Samuel.
Yes, and of course we're going to talk about the unrealistic high property taxes in Dearborn. Like this is not a joke. During election time, every candidate promises to reduce the taxes. How can we invite more people into our city, to live in the city with those high property taxes? And how can we make the homeowners here happy?
Hanan, you're talking to a realtor of over 30 years.
There you go. Okay.
I lived that life. So yeah, I'm going to cut your taxes and we're going to support safety. We're going to support fire. Wait a second. Safety and fire is 72% of the budget. When you throw in services, that's another 10%. You get to 82% of the budget. If anybody has a plan to cut taxes in half the first couple of years, I would love to see it. It does not exist. So the candidates are saying they're going to cut taxes and they're going to talk about supporting fire and get endorsed by police and fire, get endorsed by a lot of, I'd like to see how they're going to cut taxes.
Saying it's not possible? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying it's possible. We need to talk about taxes.
Okay.
I'm saying it's not possible. We're at 61.2 mills in the city of Dearborn. That is one of the highest, if not the highest, in Wayne County.
Okay.
The reason I know that because we just went through a bond for schools, and we added another mill for Henry Ford College. 2.5 years ago, well, let's go back 7 years ago when Henry Ford College, and I'm okay saying this, Henry Ford College was in trouble, and we needed money. So where do you get money? You go to your employees and you go to taxpayers. And there was no doubt in my mind then, in order to save the gem that we have on Evergreen, we needed to raise taxes. And we did. And we promised our taxpayers, just for 5 years, they'll go away. One of my former colleagues said, Hussein, once taxes get voted in, they never go away. Boy, did I find out the hard way that he was correct. So 2.5 years ago, when we wanted to continue, people wanted to say it's not a tax raise. They wanted to continue that extra mill. I fought it. I stood up and fought it and said, nope, can't do that. As one person, I was able to move the needle maybe 2-3%. I am so proud of the new organizations right now coming up in Dearborn. One being Dearborn Community Council. Hold the elected officials, hold me accountable for your taxes. When I ask you for money, hold me accountable. So in Dearborn, it is high. And it didn't happen overnight. My point, Hanan, is it's not going to go away overnight. I do have a 10-year plan that we're going to get to. We're going to move the needle a little bit the first couple of years. Again, the next 3 years. Then after 5 years, we're going to get to some of the fat and lower the taxes.
So what you're saying, it's going to take 10 years?
It's a 10-year plan to lower the taxes where we can compete with other cities. Okay. It could be a 2-year plan to lower the taxes. We have an opportunity to lower the tax this November. And nobody's talking about that yet, but we will be talking about that.
Okay, due to Dearborn's strategic location, what is your plan moving forward to bring more businesses in and to maybe get employment opportunities?
Yes, very good question. Very good question. We need to be more welcoming. Mr. Barry, what do you mean by that? We need to be more welcome as a city administration. When 10, 15 years ago, my colleagues were building houses in Dearborn, it's like they were doing something wrong. Dearborn chased them away. And, I'm not going to mention names, but they pretty much told me, Hussein, I will never do any work in Dearborn again. Businesses, I want to open up a business. It takes months and months. I'm paying my lease. Now, me personally, I'm talking to one of my clients. I'm paying my lease. I'm paying my DTE bill, stuff like that. And I'm still getting a runaround from the city. We need to sit down. I remember there was a meeting where I sat down with Michael Guido, all the departmental heads. I serve on the board of realtors. I served in leadership. We all sat down around the table and said, what do we need to do to speed up this process? And the answers were, get everybody in a room. Let's talk. Planning, zoning, business, everybody get in a room. Let's talk and give that potential business owner little assistance. We did that for a couple of years and it went away. Why? We need to get back to that. Bottom line is, we as a city administration need to be more welcoming when people want to bring their money, hard-earned money, to the city of Dearborn.
Great. I'm gonna just read it. Last week, activists in Dearborn protested passing an ordinance that will allow marijuana facilities to be about 300 feet away from residential areas. Well, and they wanted to be 40% of these facilities in South and East End, as it is. These two areas already, they have pollution. They complain about the noise from the factories. So they have, as it is, they have problems. And it says here that they tabled this for now, this ordinance. What is your plan about decreasing pollution and about this particular problem?
So yes, the South End faces a lot of pollution.
Yes.
It's not just air pollution, it's sound pollution too.
Yes.
I grew up in the South End. I spent 30 years in the South End of Dearborn. And this is not something I say lightly. The air pollution when I was living in Dearborn was terrible. Talk about cancer. The asthma happens because of air pollution. Let's talk about cancer a little bit. Where my own mother, God bless her soul, was a survivor for 37 years. My aunt 2 doors down died from cancer. I know so many ladies. And you sit to scratch your head and you think, why only the ladies were? It was because the man was going to work outside of the South End 8 to 10 hours. The younger ones were going to school, getting bused to school, spending some time in school. Our moms and our sisters didn't have that opportunity. So your first question, I'm sorry, about the marijuana, of course.
About the marijuana, yeah.
That's the South End families. You know what? I am so proud of our community right now that people are standing up. They're getting civically engaged. What they did is nothing short of amazing. By the way, Hanan, it's not the first time they've done that. That's a strong group of people. When elections come, everybody wants to go embrace them. Everybody wants to go support them. Yes. No. 365 days a year, I reach out to the parents, find out if it's the schools, if it's Lapeer Park, if it's Morningside, if it's Canterbury Park, what can we do to help? I have family that still lives there. So when it came to the marijuana, yeah, we know the marijuana is a law of the land right now. And you have to respect the law of the land. In Dearborn, it was passed by 22 votes, Hanan. 22 votes. You can't get any split than that. So I would imagine that the 50% of my constituents, of my neighbors that were okay and voted yes on that, probably 85 to 90% of them don't want it in their backyard. So yes, the council, they have a problem. It was not created by them. It was created by state initiative. And we will get to talk to, we will get the chance, we will talk about who supported marijuana in the beginning. That's a whole different story. That's a whole different conversation. But to table it, I hope it was done genuinely, and there's no doubt in my mind that it was. It's the wrong thing to do to put all those marijuana growing facilities in the south end of Dearborn when they overwhelmingly said no. 85 to 90% said no. We don't want marijuana. Period. We know what marijuana does to a community, and I don't think there's a family out there that wasn't touched by either marijuana or some kind of drug.
Yes. And I'm going to take one more question. A lot of the tax revenue is used for city lawsuits. What's your intake on that?
It's not city revenues. It's wrong, first of all. Once we do is maybe somebody in the city, maybe it's an elected official, maybe it's a police officer, and the city gets sued. We know that there's insurance policy that pays that. It's still wrong. The concept behind it, the fact that your city is getting sued, is wrong. So it does it affect? I think maybe there's what do they call it? Deductible that we pay as a city. It doesn't come out of the.
Okay, I'm gonna let you answer this. If from Hussein Daher, if we voted you to be president, would you lower the taxes?
I will start the discussion to lowering the taxes. Matter of fact, as mayor, I would start the discussion. But as a community elected official, that discussion I started way back then. And I get myself in trouble, Hanan. I got myself in trouble when we went out for a $250 million bond a couple of years ago, because I'm real. I talk about what matters. I don't talk about what both sides is right and let's listen to everybody. You have to listen to everybody. I'm a good listener. I am a very good listener. Just as important as a good listener, I'm a problem solver. Yes, Hussein, we will start that discussion, and we have an opportunity. To start lowering taxes before I become mayor January 1st. We have an opportunity to lower taxes in November of this year.
Let's keep that hopeful thought there. You are among the 6 candidates who are running for Dearborn Mayor. And what distinguishes you from the other candidates, and what can you bring to the table other candidates can't?
It's a good question. Fair question. I ran for school board 3 times before I won in 2009. Those losses humbled me, and they helped me grow as a public servant. And yes, this is politics, but I consider myself a public/community servant. It was if it was when we got down, said I was a problem solver. A car just drove by my street. That's why I got my attention. Flying down the street. There's no stop sign there, so sorry for the interruption. But when I first got on the board, I started asking a simple question: what is our graduation rates for high schools? Let's see what it is between the feeder schools. And by the way, for a couple of schools, I wanted it broken down by gender. Our graduation rates were in the mid-70s when I first got on the board. I'm not going to take credit for all of it, but I started asking those questions. I love asking questions. That's how you get things done, by asking the hard questions. What is our graduation rate as a school member is a fair question. Now we're bragging, we're flexing our muscles that our graduation rates are close to 96%. 96%. When I first started asking questions, people thought, oh, Hussein's coming on this board to start trouble for us. No. We're in the business of educating and teaching students. The more successful students in our community, the better off the community. What does that mean between 77% and 96%? That means another 180 students are graduating from our high schools every year. Out of those 180, 60% are going on to higher education, and they're coming back home and doing their thing. That's the thing that distinguishes me is as a realtor and as a school board member, the constituents of Dearborn trust me with their 2 most important things in their life. And I don't take that responsibility lightly. That's a huge responsibility. Now I want to serve my community, my city, at the highest level as mayor. I told you I had a good childhood growing up. I don't see the same things in my city right now. I don't see the support from our administration for our parks, for our pools, for the arts. I don't see the same thing. I don't see the same thing for my grandchildren that I had, many, many years ago. I have 4 adult children. They all had a great education from Dearborn Public Schools. They all graduated from college. All 4 of them are currently working right now, and all 4 own their own house in Dearborn. That's a story that should be duplicated over and over and over. When I say Dearborn's been good to me and my family, that comes from the heart. In Dearborn, my Dearborn will be good for every family in Dearborn.
I apologize. I got cut off somehow.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Oh, okay. That's good. I wanted to ask you, okay, well, Mayor O'Reilly has led the city since 2007. What is the number one change that you'd like to see in Dearborn that Mayor O'Reilly wasn't able to do and you'd like to have a role in it?
You know what? As an elected official, it's very difficult to question another elected official because people question me. Until you have the information and the data in front of you, it's very, very difficult to be a Monday morning quarterback. Everybody wants to be the Monday morning quarterback. I mean by that is It was so easy when you're sitting and watching TV. So, you know, I respect our Mayor O'Reilly's work for Dearborn. His father served before him. He served actually before Mayor Guido. There's some great things going on in Dearborn. Amazing things going on in Dearborn. Is there room for improvements? Of course there is. Is there one thing for me to challenge another elected official? That's very difficult, Hanan. There's a lot of things that we'll be rolling out, part of our plan, not our plan against Jack O'Reilly or our plan against another candidate. It'll be my plan, our vision, our mission for the city of Dearborn.
So what are your thoughts on a new generation taking on the responsibilities of leading the city into its next chapter?
There's nothing wrong with leadership. All my life, 2 things I've tried to empower. I love my daughter. She's an amazing person. I've never won a debate with her, and she's only 24. I've always empowered women in my community, and I've always empowered our youth in our community. So yes, we need youth in our leadership. Of course we do. Of course, there's no doubt in my mind. I support that. But being mayor in Dearborn is a lot more of some of what our young people are seeing right now. I go to dinner once a week with my daughter. I sit down, I listen to her, I hear her out, she listens to me. Again, she wins most of the debates. When I leave that dinner, I got to say, delete. You can't make the changes overnight. It's very, very difficult. People want to reform police. We need to talk about police. We need to talk about how can we improve our police department. But to sit there and shut down the police department in Dearborn like overnight, I can't even fathom at that, to be honest with you. But yes, I've always empowered the youth my whole life, going back to, I think when I was 15, when I went back to Mrs. George's class, and I was mentoring young people with math and science. Then later on, 20 years ago, I started a youth football program and cheerleading program for our youth people, for our youth in our city. That's my job. I mentor and empower our youth. They're our future. And by the way, the stats are showing they're going to be the biggest population in our city moving forward.
Sure hope so. My last question to you. Why should people vote for Hussein Berry?
Very good question. Hussein Berry cares. Hussein Berry is very passionate about the city of Dearborn. Hussein Berry wants what's best for Dearborn, wants to improve the quality of life for all his neighbors. Some of my friends are saying, Hussein, what are you doing to yourself? You know, with school board, they even question me. I've always given back to my city. You know what? I care about your family. I care about the future of your daughters and your sons, and you know that. I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of you just this past year. You know what's in my heart. I don't do this for a title. I don't do this for money. I don't do this for a position. People are saying first this, first that. I've never ran a campaign to be first of anything. I am a very proud Arab American. Everybody knows that. In 2004, when it was not fun to run a campaign with a name like Hussein, didn't even think about it twice, even though people recommended to change my name. But I never run as an Arab American candidate or a Muslim American candidate. I run as a Dearbornite. I care about Dearborn. I had opportunities to go to the state level. I passed on them in 2016. I passed on them because local politics works for me. I can make a difference in my neighborhood. I can make a difference for my neighbors. I listen to my neighbors. And everybody out there knows that you call Hussein Berry's phone, he's either going to answer it or he's going to send you a text. He'll call you back within 20 minutes. I love the city. The city has given me so much, gave my dad so much, an immigrant, didn't speak one word of English when he landed here, worked in a factory all his life, well, most of his life, walked away from the factory and invested $700 31 years ago, 32 years ago, and just retired from a very, very successful business. My sisters live in the city. I can't say it anymore. I have so much passion for the city, and I want to do what's best for our city. We have some good candidates. I will not say that there isn't. I'm not running against anybody. There are some of the things some of the candidates are saying I agree with, and some I disagree with. I want to put my vision out there, my platform, and we'll see what happens. On August 3rd, I plan to be successful and move on to November.
Great. Hussein Berry, Dearborn Public School Board of Trustee, I want to thank you so much for being with us tonight, and I wish you best of luck on your campaign. And to our viewers, please vote. This is the most important part. It is important to vote. Yes. And I'd like to thank all of you for watching. Best of luck, and have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Hanan. Keep doing what you're doing. God bless you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.